was going to title this talk "Effort," but I find myself wanting to call it by the title of one of the sources that I'm going to use. Um, it's a Dharma talk by Suzuki Roshi, and the title is "Don't Try to Figure Out Who You Are." Last week, I had the pleasure of at Zen Peacemakers of having David Chadwick as a guest. David Chadwick was a student of Suzuki Roshi going all the way back to, I think, 1962 or something in San Francisco. And he has been probably the chief chronicler uh, of stories and later talks by Suzuki Roshi. I've never been part of that lineage. My lineage is White Plum, related to the Zen Center of Los Angeles. But there was going back into the 60s and 70s, there was a connection and an affinity between the two Zen centers, even though San Francisco Zen Center was more purely Soto Zen, and Zen Center Los Angeles is this hybrid of Soto and Rinzai. Maizumi Roshi and Suzuki Roshi were friends. But I think this is common for a lot of people, certainly people my age. In 1970, they published Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And without sounding hyperbolic, I think it rocked the world, or at least my little corner of the world. Everybody I knew had the book, um, and we talked about it quite a lot. And what was uncommon about that book is everything, pretty much everything up until then that was written about Zen was kind of describing it, was kind of about Zen. D.T. Suzuki was that way. Alan Watts was that way a little bit. Um, but Suzuki Roshi in his book, these were transcribed talks, and he wasn't talking about Zen. He was showing you. He was showing you. Um, it's almost like each of those talks has skin and blood vessels and a beating heart. They're quite extraordinary. Um, it affected so many people. Um, so then just, and this is, I'm not here to talk about books, but I just wanted to give you some background. Um, this year, this book came out, Becoming Yourself, which I'm partway into, and it is very much the follow-on to Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. It's utterly extraordinary. Um, Pico Iyer said about this book, every page in this book contains enough wisdom to last a lifetime. So it's like it's Big Brother from 55 years ago. So I want to read one short little piece in here and then talk about it. Um, but a couple of students in that lineage put this together last year, and from transcripts of talks that go back, 50 years or so, and they're just as amazing as the first set of talks. Up until reading Suzuki, and the other things that I was reading, I had the feeling that I needed to figure out what things meant and what was real and who I was. And Suzuki's words then, 55 years ago, and this morning have quite the opposite effect on me. So I want to share one of these short talks. and then talk about it a little bit and try to avoid getting um, wound in a ball. Don't try to figure out who you are. And he says, when you try to figure out who you are, you're using your self-centered, limited mind, and it doesn't work. After seeing his reflection in the water, Tozan Zenji wrote an enlightenment verse. Don't try to seek yourself. Don't try to figure out who you are. The you found in that way is far from the real you. It is not you anymore. But when I go on my way, wherever I turn, I meet myself. That's Tozan. Tozan was one of the founders of the Soto Zen school. Suzuki goes on to say, this verse means that you must find yourself in each zazen period. When you take your own step, then wherever you go, you will meet with yourself. That's the Bodhisattva way. You may think that you can figure out who you are by looking at your reflection in the water. Tozan Zenji says that although the image you see there is not you, what you see in the water as it is actually you yourself. In the Hokyo Zamai, Tozan Zenji makes the same statement. You are not it. It is you. And he uses this paradoxical statement to catch your mind. You are not it. It is you. Means that when you try to figure out who you are, even if you see yourself in the mirror, that reflection is not you. But if you just see your image in the mirror without any idea of trying to figure out what you are, that is you yourself. When you try to figure out who you are using your self-centered, limited mind, and it doesn't work. If you try to attain enlightenment or to become some great Zen master, you cannot. Before you practice our way, you are Buddha. But when you practice in a small, self-centered way, you will lose yourself. You may understand this and then think that whatever you do, that is our practice. That misunderstanding comes from a selfish, gaining idea. It is pretty hard to practice our way without any expectation or gaining idea, so we have various rules in the Zendo. You can just follow the rules without any idea of self. Giving up your idea of self, you can practice real practice, which is not based on a self-centered idea. The rules will help you to give up your self-centered practice, which doesn't work, and they will encourage your true practice. We observe our rules just to help make it easy to keep up our practice. You may think that to follow rigid rules is a difficult practice and say, oh, I wish I hadn't started this kind of difficult religion. Maybe your small mind will feel that way, but if you know what real practice is, then following the various ethical precepts and the rules of the Buddhist way will help you as well as others. This encouragement really is so simple and accessible, it seems to me. When you take your own step, then wherever you go, you will meet yourself. But here's where I need your help. We also have Dogen Zenji instructing us to steady ourselves. We also have an early koan that some people work on. Who am I? Suzuki's telling us don't try to figure out who you are. Yet we have one of our first koans is Who am I? And then some of you know Master Mumon's well-known introduction to the Mu koan. And this is even more aggressive. I'll just part of what he said is arouse your entire body with its 360 bones and joints and its 84,000 pores of the skin. Summon up a spirit of great doubt and concentrate on this mu. Carry it continuously day and night. It will be just as if you tried swallowing a red-hot iron ball, which you cannot spit out even if you try. I don't know. Um, it's all one Zen, so these can't be contradictory. There must be a place where they connect. So what do we think? What do we think Suzuki means by taking our own step? He suggests it almost as um, an alternative to trying to figure out who you are. Just take your own step. So what distinguishes taking your own step from trying to figure out who you are? I think that's why a lot of us are doing this practice is to figure out who we are. We've been told we have or we are Buddha nature. Perhaps some have had that experience. Perhaps others of us are taking that on faith. Fake it till you make it. I want to figure out who I am. But Suzuki does tell us what creates the difference. He says, using your self-centered, limited mind. And he says, selfish gaining ideas. You might strip a lot of that away and just say what causes the problem is ideas. And Suzuki refers to Tozan Zenji as using this paradoxical statement to catch your mind. You are not it. It is you. As paradoxes go, that one works on me. That can have the effect of, as the expression goes, getting me wrapped around the axle, unless I open my hand and let that go. When confronted with that paradox, what all I know to do, all my training tells me to be still and pay attention. Just be still and pay attention. Perhaps this is how we take our own step. Perhaps we set aside self-centered or gaining thinking and we pay attention. It's so short. Let me read it again, just so it's kind of fresh for everybody. And maybe there's a clue to this. In the front cover, there's a one-line quote by Suzuki, and he says, "The point is to learn how to be yourself, how to be a person in a way that a stone is completely a stone." Stone doesn't have any doubts, I don't think. When you try to figure out who you are using your self-centered, limited mind, and it doesn't work. After seeing his reflection in the water, Tozan Zenji wrote an enlightenment verse. Don't try to seek yourself. Don't try to figure out who you are. The you found in that way is far from the real you. It's not you anymore. I think anymore is kind of a clue. Time has passed. But when I go on my way, wherever I turn, I meet myself. Suzuki says this verse means that you must find yourself in each zazen period. When you take your own step, then wherever you go, you will meet with yourself. That's the Bodhisattva way. You may think that you can figure out who you are by looking at your reflection in the water. Tozan says that although the image you see there is not you, what you see in the water as it is actually you yourself. In the Hakkyo Zamai, Tozan makes the same statement. You are not it, it is you. And he uses this paradoxical statement like this to catch your mind. You are not it, it is you means that when you try to figure out who you are, even if you see yourself in the mirror, that reflection is not you. But if you just see your image in the mirror without any idea of trying to figure out what you are, that is you yourself. When you try to figure out who you are, you're using your self-centered, limited mind, and it doesn't work. If you try to attain enlightenment or to become some great Zen master, you cannot. Before you practice our way, you are Buddha. But when you practice in a small, self-centered way, you will lose yourself. Maybe I'll leave it at that. So here's where I need your help. How do you take your own step? Does this resonate at all for you?